Welcome to Brewsers, a podcast about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. I am your host, Rody John, and today we speak to Ryan and Leslie with Panther Island Brewing in Fort Worth, Texas. We talk all about how they started and to the growth that has happened all around them in the city of Fort Worth, and about Buc-ee's. Now, if you are not from Texas and you do not know about Buc-ee's, you are going to learn very quickly, and we're going to have a fun conversation about them. They are growing. They more than likely will end up in your state at some point within the next 5 to 10 years. That's how much they're growing. They are all over Texas. They have a little bit of everything, and it's like a Walmart of convenience stores is probably the best way to put it, or gas stations, I should say. So you'll learn about Buc-ee's, but you'll also learn about Panther Island Brewing here in Fort Worth, Texas. And if you want even more fun facts or learn more about Panther Island Brewing, we have a newsletter that comes out twice a week, and you get even more information about our guests. You get fun facts, and you get to find out even more about the podcast you love that's all about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. So without further ado, here is Ryan and Leslie with Panther Island Brewing. I'm here at Panther Island Brewing, and I have here with two wonderful people that work here. Can we, I guess for audio's sake, well, it makes sense to say your names either way, but...
Brittany.
Yes.
And Ryan.
There we go. Now, what is y'all's relationship in, I guess, together, obviously, and then into Panther Island?
Husband and wife duo, part owners. I'm the head brewer, and you are doer of all things.
I'm an assistant to whoever needs me, and I do HR.
Wow.
Help run the tap room with our sister, and she does marketing, but we tag team a lot of things.
Right. We got to tackle a bunch when it comes to this brewery. Now, I want to go into how it all started, but let's start with the fun part. What's everyone's earliest memory of alcohol?
Oh, that is fun. For me, alcohol in general, I grew up in Brock, which is a small town. Well, it used to be a really small town, about 30 miles west of here. So, I don't know if my mom, we're family owned, so my mom is operations. If she was here, she wouldn't like me saying this, but it was around 16 for me, 16, 17, in a field. But craft wise, I would say around 2008, 2009, probably got into craft.
Well, I was going to ask later what was your gateway craft beer, but what was your gateway craft beer?
My gateway was either Old Chub or Dale's Pale Ale, both from Oscar Blues. Love that brewery. Love those beers. Both, different styles, but two styles that I love. A good just Pale Ale or IPA. And it's more on that kind of like biscuity malty side, which I really dug. And then the Old Chub, just a nice... wee heavy style that I love. So that was mine. What was yours?
Yeah, what was your first alcohol in the gateway?
Was it 16 in Brock, Texas?
No. My parents didn't have a lot of rules about any drinking, so it wasn't interested to me. So I didn't really drink until I drank in Mexico when I was 18 after I graduated.
So that was legal.
Yeah.
And then I started working at On the Border. And I was 21 and was introduced to shift shots and started learning that whole
shift
world.
Shots? I imagine before your shift. End of your shift.
Between
the
starts.
The industry is very, very big.
I can honestly say I didn't take them before because I'm like, no, I don't want to mess up. And but at the end, it was like, yay, we're done.
Yeah, there you go.
She's a big rule follower.
Oh, okay.
Yes, until she met me and I ruined her.
I was going to say,
ruined her.
Yin and yang.
It is a yin for sure.
Yeah. When we met, I was 19, she was 21, and she wouldn't buy me beer. So.
Oh, older lady, nice.
I'm not going to break the rules. Nope, you didn't break the
law.
law.
Not even for me.
Wow. And you guys are still together. That's what
Yes, absolutely.
I have standards. I do trivia here, and I have friends that are like, what's this answer? I go, nope, because the one day I give it away, I've broken all trust with everybody.
Yeah, that one question is like the deciding factor on that one. So what was your first gateway craft beer?
Ooh, I Do you remember? I think I liked Magic Hat #9. Is that a craft?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember going to a local place here that has a ton of beer, and that was the one. Once I found that,
Yeah, and then there's a place downtown. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but a place downtown that you really liked. I believe it was like a strawberry lambic.
yes,
I can't remember what
3%, or it was so light.
It was from a brewery that I can't even pronounce the name. So that was like way more craft than even I was. I was like, dang, okay.
I mean, it tasted like strawberry jam.
Yeah,
I mean that sounds delightful for anybody who doesn't really like beer because you're getting into it.
Yeah.
But
So I think
my favorite is probably Oscar Blues as well. It's Death by Coconut. It's my most so good.
Very nice.
Yeah, we're an Oscar Blues
I've
fan.
grown.
Nothing wrong with that.
I used to not drink very much, and then we would play drinking games like Waterfall and beer pong, and he would mix Coors Light with pink lemonade for me.
Yep.
Oh, that's smart.
I was a
never
gentleman.
had to do that.
Yeah, I was a gentleman.
It wasn't horrible, and I've come a long way.
Yeah. Coors Light's still good. It's fine.
And I always try to tell people, I'm like, look, we've all been there. It takes,
for sure.
you've got to build yourself up.
Yeah.
It takes time.
A Yellow Belly is still good at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'll still get a Dos Equis.
Yeah, there
Dos
you go.
Equis is fantastic. And obviously Modelo, the number one beer in America now. So
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
it
that.
is. Yeah, it passed Bud Light, do that whole controversy, whatever bullshit happened. Yeah. But it made sense because there's more people that enjoy that kind of beer, even that aren't of the Hispanic ethnicity.
Yeah.
Because it's just light, it's nice, it's more than, you actually have flavor to it, as opposed to the Bud Light that's not flavored.
Typical, just American lager,
Exact same thing you remember as a kid. It's the exact same taste it'll always be.
Yep.
Now, Panther Island is almost 10 years old now, and it started as Wahoo Brewing, which you guys, I forgot that you guys had the mural out front there. How did it all happen? How did it begin?
Kind of typical. I started home brewing.
Yeah.
I was a touring musician,
Ooh.
and
What
after
bands?
do what?
What bands?
An old band that no one remembers, but Valera.
I think I've heard
called
that.
Valera.
So you played in the DFW area, though?
Yeah, and we toured, the country and stuff. Played with a lot of
Nice.
good bands. Toured with a lot of good bands, and I did that for probably 5 years, and then came off the road and wanted to do something creative, but wanted to keep it at home.
Right.
Because we were newly married, and I hadn't been home, I don't think. So I got into craft beer. Brittany bought me a Mr. Beer kit from Bath & Beyond. I can't remember.
Now closed. Bed
Now
Bath &
closed.
Beyond.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. R.I.P.
And so it was just a gallon kit, and they were all terrible, but I had so much fun doing it, and then learning that brewing is 90% cleaning. So I, started, doing that, and then started volunteering at a brewery in Dallas called Petacolis.
Oh, yes.
And Michael was kind enough to kind of take me under his wing. He knew that I wanted to open a brewery, but was still very open and kind enough to kind of show me
That's awesome.
the way, which again was a lot of cleaning. A lot. Cleaned a lot of Petacolis kegs,
Nice.
a lot of Petacolis tanks, and got to brew some beer. One of my favorites, and this is the local craft beer that got me into craft too. It was his Velvet Hammer.
Oh, yeah.
So
that
that
one's always fun for me as a craft fan.
Yep.
If anybody orders it that's not a craft beer person, I'm like, all right, let's see how this ride. And so
Yeah.
It's like, all right, how many are you going to have?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe two.
Maybe two, yeah. So for me, that was like 2011, I believe, and that really got my gears turning as far as like wanting to do this for a living. And again, we're family owned and operated. So I started brewing, decent homebrew batches.
Yeah.
And then started asking not only my friends and family to taste it because they would kind of sugarcoat everything. I needed that brutal honesty, so I would have people like Michael Petacolis, even some other local breweries from around here try my beer, and they all actually, when they started being like, "Man, I think you got something here."
Wow.
It gained the attention of my mom and my stepdad, and then so we found this place. I believe you were. I mean, I say it all the time, but I think you were going to lunch to Joe. Yeah, you tell that part.
Well, and I mean, you kind of skipped over the whole Wahoo. You started in Haltom City in a little warehouse with friends, and then...
That's, yes. So in between this place that we're at now and then Petacolis, we rented a small, like, 1,000 square foot, where maybe as big as the room we're in now. Like 800,000 square foot maybe. And I started brewing on these converted, like, I believe they call them, like, kegels. Like kegs converted into little mash tuns and bowl kettles. And so started making like 10-gallon batches in those. And we were in there for, I think, 2 years.
We had like a friends and family thing out there.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And at that time,
you get the good feedback from just a bunch of people.
And that's when I would invite, craft brewery owners now, and even the guys at the Pro Brew Shop, Texas Brewing Inc., which was then a home brew shop.
Stubbies, right?
Stubbies,
yeah,
yep.
Stubbies, yeah.
I invited them all out, and they were so kind, and still are. We get all our grain and everything from them, and they're fantastic. So did that for about 2 years and kind of got 4 recipes kind of dialed in, which is now Tailgater, Allergies, Cannonball, and IPFNA.
Wow, okay.
So started with those and then and started looking at some real estate, and then looked all over Fort Worth, really, and some in like Burleson, and it took you going to Joe T. Garcia's.
I think it was Joe T's or La Playa. I used to work downtown, and then I was with some friends going to lunch, and we passed by this building that was vacant.
Right.
But it said Texas Beer Company. I just thought the brick was cool. I saw the windows, and I just saw a lot of potential. There was no apartments next door.
I want to get to that in a second, yes.
So it was like this just easy to get to spot, honestly. And
right outside of downtown.
Right, yeah.
So I sent
took a picture of it
and everybody the info. I was like, hey, what about this? And that's all I did.
Yeah, I think it had the landlord's like name and number like written in, spray paint or chalk or something.
Yes.
Like because
super efficient.
So some of these windows they were all busted out, so they like boarded up and stuff, and it was just a complete wreck in here. Nothing was in here other than like pieces of like a bottling line, and then there were like cases of like delirium tremens everywhere, and
Shut up.
Rahr's buffalo butt, and like all this stuff, and there was no one. We couldn't get anyone until one day. When we were getting tanks in and everything, one of the old owners of Texas Beer Company finally stopped in, and he was like, "Man, it took a lot of gut for me to come in here because I have a lot of memories here, and I see that y'all are doing this, and this is great." And he was like, "Yeah, we used to contract brew before Rahr was at their location. Now they contracted buffalo butt and brewed it here at this location."
A lot of things
so they allegedly. I've never like asked Fritz or any of the Rahr team about it. So I guess I should say allegedly.
We'll say the lore of this place.
Yeah. So that was
started here, and then
right. I know. I'm like, that's really neat, but I've never confirmed that with anyone from Rahr.
Right.
But I just think that was still cool. Like there was a bunch of, and the beer they brewed, it was called like Texas Light, and then like Texas Cyclone or something like that. It was like
That's a cool
I
name.
think that Cyclone was like a Bock, and then Texas Light was American Lager. And one of the guys worked at the Miller. I think they both worked at the Miller plant or something like that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, they closed down in 2001.
Oh wow.
And then this place sat vacant from 2001 to 2014 when we moved in here.
Holy shit, that's insane.
Yep.
Like as a landlord, now as much as I know. So I'm from Arlington, and I do also a podcast about Arlington. But you say, oh yeah, nobody listens to this.
Okay.
I've been doing it for like 4 years, so it's
We have friends
nice.
that live in Arlington, and
we can talk about that. So I kind of understand the whole holding on to property and hoping that it, gets more money attached to it, and everything else develops around it. But nothing developed in this area for a very long time. So holding on to it for over a decade, that's insane. Like I don't